work as really a spiritual service or a spiritual practice. And this is a very important topic and one that we have to really pay attention to. That because I think, as we all understand, in this beautiful poem that Anket read, he says about how to understand that our most important duty is our duty to you, because from you comes all power to do anything, really. And of course, we understand as yogis that our spiritual duty to our gurus, to God, is to practice our meditation, to practice our attunement. That indeed, in that attunement, whatever we do may be blessed by them, may be blessed by their light, and be offered a spiritual service to them. Now, I wanted to start today's satsang with a couple of stories. One is a story of Yogananda and one of his disciples. And there was a lady who, was in the kitchen, and Yogananda was in the kitchen. Now, Yogananda ji loved to cook because he used cooking as a service to his fellow disciples. And I'm sure here many of you also have to do a lot of cooking and should also offer it as a real service. So, and because something like cooking, you can really put a lot of good vibrations into the food. That's why it can be a wonderful service to do, because people will feel more than the flavor of the food, what energy has gone into the food. Yeah, the flavor is also important, of course, but it's secondary only. Anyway, so he was cooking one day in the kitchen in his ashram, and this lady had really nothing to do, so she decided that whenever the master will dirty something, she will go and clean it. So the master started cooking and he dirtied a pot. She will pick it up, wash it, put it back. And then the master would spill something, she will go, clean it up, and like that. And the master, Yogananda ji, so this is a very wonderful opportunity to teach her a lesson. And so, as he was cooking, he started dirtying more pots and making a whole mess while cooking. He will use a pot a little bit, then put it on the side. Then the lady frantically will go and try to clean it, and he will suddenly spill something on the counter and on the floor, and she will go and clean. And she was amazed how much the master could make a mess. And at the end, she just gave up. She said, okay, I'll just wait till he finishes cooking and then I'll clean. And after she did that, the master was just very calmly cooking, and nothing was spilled, nothing was dirty anymore. And then she understood that she was doing her work out of restlessness. And the master was trying to teach her a lesson that, whatever you do it with calmness. Don't do it just because you are bored, just because you have nothing to do. Do it from that sense of, I'm doing it for a higher purpose, or I'm doing it out of calmness. Now, this is a wonderful story. It's not the story I wanted to tell. I got confused with the story I wanted to tell, but it's all right. It's another story of another disciple of the master who, she was very busy. And the master told her, you must not work so hard. And then, okay, the guru says so. So she started giving away some of her duties to the other disciples. But the master came one day and told her, you must not work so hard. And he gave her more duties to do, I said, oh my God, what's this? He's telling me not to work so hard, and he's giving me more things to do. So with some effort, she found some other people who could, take some of those things away from her. And then again, a third time, the master came, you must not work so hard. And he gave her even more things to do. You have already done enough work for this incarnation, for several incarnations. You don't have to learn that lesson anymore. And she was very, very confused. And again, she tried to give some responsibilities away to someone else. And then again, the master came to her. You must not work so hard. And then finally she started to understand and said, Master, why don't we switch the word work by service? And then the master laughed and said, it's been a good show. And said, all your life you've been thinking work, work, work. It was taking a toll on your health, in your mind, and see how much more can you do if you think of work instead of as service. You can do much more and not even feel tired after that. And I think that is the secret for all of us to understand. Many a times people ask, I think when you go in on the spiritual path, it's very easy to start asking, oh my God, what is my dharma? What is my dharma in this incarnation? And people get very stuck. Am I fulfilling my dharma? Am I not fulfilling my dharma? Krishna says that it's better to do your dharma than somebody else's dharma, but how do I know what is mine to do? Well, probably what you are doing right now is your dharma. If it's been put in front of you and it seems to be the logical thing for you to do, it's probably your dharma. We had to understand more and more on the spiritual path that right action, service, is not so much what we do, but the attitude in which we do it. And really, our highest dharma is to find God. There is no other dharma greater for the devotee. But, that is like, okay, how do I find God? It's very big, very vague. Well, in the way to find God, to fulfill our highest of dharmas, we had to understand that our current dharma, whatever we are doing, is the way we are going to find God. That we have to be able to spiritualize whatever it is that God has given us to do. So if it is raising a family, how will I spiritualize that? That it helps me on my goal to my highest dharma. If I, have to work 10 hours in the office and, sweat it off, for 6 days a week, well, okay, that seems to be currently my dharma because, I need to survive in this world somehow and this is the only thing I have right now. How can I spiritualize that? And then the question of dharma really doesn't come into the picture at all. It just comes, okay, how can I do what I do better as a service and in a way that will help me in my spiritual search? Now, I had the good fortune, like many years ago, when we used to live at the ashram outside of Pune. Swami Kirana had passed away, but I was in charge for some time to clean his house. And, for us, his house is like a temple, really, where he meditated, where he slept, where he spent his days. His vibrations are there very much. So I would take it as a great joy for me, and I enjoy cleaning also, so it was not a problem for me to do these things. And you may think, okay, you are cleaning this great saint's house, so basically that is service, that is something uplifting. And yes, it is, but I realized very soon that sometimes I was having troubles with my fellow Guru Bhais. It happens. We all have different opinions or different ways to approach life. And my mind was very disturbed many times. I'm thinking, oh my God, how can they do that? That is not what Master said, that is not the right way to behave, this, that, and my mind started spiraling in that negativity. And I will go to Swami's house and I will try my best to clean, but my mind will start going into that again. And I realized that, oh my God, I have a big blessing to be in this saint's house to clean, and I'm not making the best of it. Because my mind is not in the attitude of service. Because my mind is playing with negativity, is playing with restlessness. So even though I was in such a blessed place, I was not really doing any blessed work. I was just doing work. And that's what we had to understand, that it doesn't matter if, service and the spiritual fair, which is coming up, that's a wonderful thing to do. But it's only wonderful as long as we individually make it wonderful, as we try to channel the divine energy. In the ashram is the same thing. In your work is exactly the same thing. Really, there is no difference between any of this. Yes, of course, if you are in the ashram or in the center, naturally your mind will go more there because you are in the center. But nevertheless, we must find tricks, things that we can do at our work to spiritualize it. Now, I wanted to divide it in kind of three things. The first one is before work. Like this beautiful poem said, we cannot feel the divine in our work or in anything that we do in our house if we don't contact the divine first in some way or the other. So, meditation, prepare yourself, especially if you have a work that you feel is very restless or that you don't like very much or whatever it may be, prepare yourself beforehand. Meditate nicely, invoke the presence of the Masters, do a prayer, do something that you contact the divine and that you're consciously going to carry that to the rest of your activities throughout the day. Then, of course, we become busy. We become busy and we forget. The co-workers or the children or the maid or just ourselves in our restlessness. Okay, so what can we do? Now, there are very few jobs that you actually can do by doing japa. If you can do japa while working or feeling the divine energy flowing through you, that's wonderful. Some things like cleaning, you can do that because it doesn't require too much of your mental power. But something like, concentrating in writing something or concentrating in talking to someone or whatever it may be. Most works really, we cannot have this mental attitude, mental japa going on because it just becomes distracting. You cannot put your full attention. And that's where the reading of affirmations for self-healing really, really help us. It is not that we should just think of God when we do things. We should try to feel God or feel an aspect of the divine when we do. So if in our work we focus on doing it with calmness, doing it with love or compassion or kindness, doing it in a way that we feel that we are spreading light, or any of the other aspects of the divine that we feel that we are doing it in this particular way, that means we are spiritualizing our work. In the reading, Swamiji said that you should put your best effort. I give you the best that is in me. Doing your work with creativity and energy, you are already on the way to spiritualize whatever you are doing. If you're doing it consciously, with a sense of the divine flow, that's even better. But just to think that, because it's work so I can do anything and it doesn't really matter, is wrong. As yogis, we are trained to do it the best that we can, with the best attitude that we can, with the best energy that we can. And yes, after we come back or whatever it is, we have to use our mind to introspect. We have to mind to introspect and see how we did. Where can I improve? How can I bring more of this joy of meditation into whatever activities I do? And of course, offer it to God. In the end, whatever happened, just offer it up, say, Lord, this was for you, this was by you, and in the end, I just want to keep on improving, keep getting better, and help me in this undertaking. So with that, I invite Shamini.
And good morning to all of you. And we're going to continue on this a little bit more. I wanted to also pick up a little bit from what Bharat was implying of the affirmation which we did of Swamiji's. It's such a wonderful and such a simple affirmation. When we used to live out in Pune, outside in the community, we used to do this together. We used to stand in a circle every morning and we used to just do this affirmation. So it's in a way drilled into us. We used to do just 2 affirmations. One of them was this, another was, I believe, energy. And so some of these got drilled in. But just this simple, because over there we had a lot of land space. So a lot of the work we had to do was on the physical plane. So you got a chance to really, I will do my best thinking of thee. I offer to you the very best that is in me. So whether it was just scrubbing the tiles, sometimes it's just these what he was talking about, mundane work, which all of us, we have the opportunity sometimes to do. But you don't have to use too much of this guy, and you get to really just be there in that spirit of a devotee, And it kind of got more and more deeply ingrained. So if you can do it in the simplest things, then when the things get harder, I offer to you the very best that is in me. Then when we come to our meditation seat, I offer to you the very best that is in me. And you see how everything adds up, in a way. Nothing is more important or less important than anything. But then there's another layer to this. So this spirit of what he was talking about, we all put our best creativity, our best energy, enthusiasm into whatever work God has given, whatever opportunity life has brought, whether it's some work in a company, whether it's at home taking care of the family, whether it's cooking a meal, whether it's taking care of a garden, we offer our creativity. No? We bring that joy, we bring that enthusiasm, and then we know why is it important to do that? Because we become creative, because we become joyful, isn't it? It's not about so much the thing that we're doing. And then you bring that into everything, into your meditation, into every aspect. But there's another layer to this, which I was reading from Swamiji. So he tells us this story of when he was new to Yogananda. He had come as a young monk of 22 years old. And he came to the ashram very enthusiastic, very creative, very ready to do whatever it takes to make the master's work, to build the master's work. He was hungry for it. And that, of course, is the right spirit. No? When you've been given something by God, you put everything into it. It's your duty, you might say, to do our best. No? But so he was doing his very best and putting everything he could and really just working so hard, all for the master, all for the guru. And at some point, he had a little bit of a health challenge. So Yogananda told him that why don't you go take a few days, and he released him of his duties and said take a few days and go to Encinitas, which is this retreat they had, just a little bit away. Go and spend a few days and recuperate, recover yourself. So Swamiji, relieved of his duties, went there and he spent a few days, and in that time he said he thought of God, he practiced God remembrance more than ever in that time that he got, and he just spent that time recovering, but more offering everything, practicing God remembrance. And after that phase, when that time was over of his recovery, what did Yogananda say to him? He said, very good, or I'm very pleased with you, something like that. And Swamiji said it was very interesting to him because he had been putting so much into building his work. But when he took that time and then practiced God remembrance, he said, good job. He didn't care about the work per se. See, what he wanted was for the devotee, for all of us to learn this. It's not about what we're doing, our whole work in a way. And so Swamiji was trying to explain to all of us, remember this, that we're all on a time, on a clock, you might say, right? On Divine Mother's clock. And then suddenly the clock will run out. And what's the main work she's given us? What's our main dharma? Is really finding God, is finding that true source that we're all looking for incarnations. If we get sidetracked into, oh yes, this is now my work and that's where I'm going to put all my energy, the clock's ticking, and we've forgotten. But if we just practice a little bit of this, what he explained here, and so in that phase where he went into a little bit of silent retreat, practiced God remembrance, then when he came back, I believe from that moment he was changed. It never became any more Kriyananda doing this work. It became in God remembrance, let's see what happens. Let's see what God can do through me. And you see what kind of, amazing work he was able to do. And he tells us what kind of dharma, what kind of work Yogananda ji was given by Divine Mother. He says if anyone else were to think of that, they would just, either get consumed or they would start thinking of themselves of how can I do such a big job. But Yogananda, what did he do? He had to go all the way across the world in a time where it was very difficult. He didn't know any English. He had to build a whole work. He had to change the consciousness of the planet. But in that, he never took it, and Swami Kriyananda explains this to us, he never took it as I am doing this. He could have, he's an avatar. He took it as in communing with Divine Mother, let's see what she can do through me. Let's see who she brings in front of me. Let's see what she needs me to do. And so there was never a sense of, I'm doing this important thing. And you start getting kind of impatient, you start getting restless. So that's a little checkpoint for us. Every time we start thinking, or you start getting tense, in that way you're shaking sometimes. Sometimes our to-do list has been so long these days, in the past month or so, I find myself shaking like this from inside, like a leaf. I'm like, okay, I have to do all these things. It's starting to get super restless. And then just even yesterday, there were like two, three things, and there was only a like 3-hour line, and I was like, oh, doing this so tensely. And at some point, I just had to stop on the couch I was sitting and just stop myself and like close my eyes and practice what they're saying here. Close your eyes, do the touch of light, gaze here, put your forefinger here, draw the energy up. And I was trying to do this, and I realized, my God, my energy, it was so committed, no? That it takes willpower, it takes a little effort to pull it back in, no? When we get into that space. But by doing just that much, then things started to flow clearly. Before that, I was trying to do this, it wasn't working. I was trying to do that, no answer. You do a little bit of this, and then things start to flow. Okay, here's the answer. This is the way to do this. Let me put this way. And it just becomes more of a flow of energy. And as disciples, it's very important for us to understand this distinction, because we don't want to just be having our to-do list and marking checks there. What are we doing here? He's told us clearly, what's our work? Your only work is to get back to God. Then whatever He needs to do through you, He will do, and it'll flow through us. And then it becomes so wonderful. And I wanted to leave us with this thought as well. Swamiji also says, like, and he was writing this to ashram devotees who were living at Yogananda's ashram at that time. He says, even what's the point of having the most beautiful flowers that you're watering? What's the point of that if you're not remembering God in the process? You can be living in an ashram, having a simplest task of taking care of a garden, and still think of yourself, and of your own to-do list. And so he was really urging. And I was thinking, when we do something like, and that's why the spiritual fair as well gives us a wonderful opportunity. All of us come together to serve. Even when we have little seva days here, whatever it may be, whether it's brainstorming what other ideas can we do, or it's people cleaning things, or cleaning the fans we did recently, vacuuming the carpet, scrubbing things. At the end of the day, when we step out, more than the physical cleanliness, there's an energy is like sort of shining. Like the center is kind of shining. It's almost like this with invisible eyes. You can see there's like kind of magic-y, sparkly energy going. But He doesn't care about the place. Then I like to look more than that at the devotee's eyes, and how people leave from here is just as a shine that comes on the devotee. So more than the flowers or the garden or the ashram or the space or the food we cook at home for family or the amazing work we do at office, more than that which already becomes shiny if you do it with the power of God, what happens is we get filled with that power. We start to shine. And that's really what they're trying to tell us to do through every work that we've been given. It's a blessing to learn this, isn't it? And to make it into, there's a to-do list, there's a deadline. There are things that need to happen. Even here, there are things that need to happen. But if we do it with that spirit, then we start to become shiny. We start to shine from inside with their freedom. And then it becomes spiritualized, and then it becomes more fun. And so let's just keep this in mind. Even now, as we know, we have this opportunity with the fair next week, and we are very, very excited to serve all together, because you're going to see, some of you who this is your first time serving, it's just a magic that happens when so many devotees come together in the Master's name, and we're just there. And we pray before that we want to share your light, we want to share your energy. Whoever comes up to us, whether they ask us, where should I sit? Or where's the food table? Or what booths are there? Where's your center? What is Ananda? Whatever it may be, it's when the devotee answers, is people feel that. They get to see so many souls who are just living this life, a spiritual life of devotion. And that becomes just a wonderful way, first of all, to strengthen that in ourselves, but also to bring that out in others in the world. And they get a taste of that. And then they want it too. And then slowly it starts to spread. And then it becomes a wonderful opportunity to practice that. It's easy to do it when we're all together. Then when we go back home, bring that into the home, bring that into the family, bring that into our jobs. And that way, everything we've been given, our to-do list, becomes spiritualized. And then, Master would say, he would do. He did a big mission, let's say even Yogananda ji. And he would never get stuck there. He would do what was needed, he would take time and retreat back inside and give it back to God. And that's one last part of this which I just wanted us to keep in mind, you know. We have the principle of tense with will, relax and feel, right, with the energization exercises. And so you may almost think of this. I will do my best. That's the affirmation. I will do my best. That's a little bit of tense with will, right? You have to put your best into that. Thinking of you, Lord, I offer to you the very best that is in me. There's an element of relax and feel in that, to offer it. You can't be offering it like this, like I give it to you, I just give this to you, take this chai, take it. No. Tense with will, I give you my best. And then relax, I give it back to you. And in that relaxation, we need to go back to our altar. We need to go back in meditation. Even at the end of the spiritual fair, take that. Don't forget in those moments when we're serving. And you might be very busy at your booth, hopefully. And then take those moments even then. Just give it back. Give that energy that's awakened back and see, wow, that's yours. That's my devotion to you. Strengthen it, let it shine through me, let it come into my meditation, let it come into my life. Let others feel this as well. And then our work becomes spiritual. Om Guru.